Since the DM1008 doesn't have an external fuse on it, we need to know how much amperage it draws to figure out if the single 4-gauge wire is going to be enough. I've gone to DD Audio's website, selected that amplifier. Maximum current draw is 90 amps, so this draws 90. That means with the 125 we already have, we're at 215. We're at 215 amps of current draw over a single 4-gauge that is about 16, 17 feet long. So I've pulled up a power wire calculator, 200, 250, come over here, come down. It's only good for about 4 to 7 feet of 4-gauge. We clearly have more than that. Followed it across, we're between 16 and 19 feet. That means we're gonna need to go with a 0-gauge. If we put both of the small amplifiers on one channel, we said that was 125 amps of current draw. That puts us in the 10 to 13 feet. So we might be better off trying to figure out a way to mount all 3 of them in the same case and just run a single 0-gauge. With the radio taken care of and the Amp Pro squared away, that just leaves us with a list of amendments, as it were, on what we need to change from what we couldn't see. And it's not that long of a list. We have 0-gauge instead of 4-gauge. We have a fuse distribution block we're gonna need. We need to find out whether we want to do some more roadkill in the doors. We were already doing fastering. That's not a big deal there. Anything else you can think of? No? I'm gonna go call the customer and find out what he wants to change, and then we'll see where we go from there.
I'm going to figure it out how to mount the fuse holder in here. We're gonna use his fuse. So this one was all the way down with the long wire. I'm gonna make a bracket right here. My first thought was grabbing a straight panel all the way down. It's like a factory hole here in the bottom. I can probably go like an L and just go here, but I don't know if somebody's gonna service that and is not gonna see the factory hole with the screw and they might break it. So I'm gonna go with these 2 front bolts. I'm gonna make like a bridge from this corner to this corner, and it's gonna bolt fuse holder mount right there. First thing we're gonna do is measure it from one side to another. 8 3/4, 2 inches, and then the leg 1.5. Now let's go and cut some plastic. Just put a little bit of water so they can cool down faster. That's gonna be the fuse holder right there. We're gonna make new holes here and here. Let's go to the car. This one is gonna be right there. We're on our power wire here. Go that way. I might make a notch right here so they can see the factory bolt from the battery.
Since we don't have the factory speakers, we have to kind of make do with what we have. This is a template for a Jeep that we do tons of, and we're pretty sure this is the same that is going to go up into the dash, and maybe the same is in the door. We printed one real quick out of MDF just to test fit it. Fits perfect, the notch is where it needs to be. So this is definitely the tweeter mount. Next we have to figure out what goes in this, and I think that's the right length for sure. Fernando's getting the grill off of the door panel right now. That way we can test fit it to see if this lines up. We want to make sure our tweeter sits behind this hole right here.
Gotta be up.
So our tweeter's sitting kind of low. We'll mark the area where the tweeter should be. The other thing too is that the tweeter sits really far in the door for sure. You might make a spacer to bring it out just a little bit, but we're gonna make this at a 1/4 inch. We're definitely gonna need some form of a fast ring on the tweeter so that it pushes all that sound into the car. But I can tell you just by looking at this and where that other 2.5 was, there was no sound getting into the car. We'll make those adjustments. We'll cut out another one, be all set. To transcribe this into the computer, as far as our marks, we'll scan it in, use a flatbed scanner. Once it's scanned in, we'll launch our software, make a copy of it. We're not doing a Jeep, so we'll delete the Jeep logo, bring in our scan, line it up with our existing, and now we can see where we want our hole to be. We need to know the circumference of the tweeter. They epoxied this in. We're gonna break this off, take the wire off, put the screws back in because we definitely don't want to lose one of those. Input in our new dimensions for tweeter. Make sure we're on center point expansion. Move the tweeter and over. That looks pretty good. This continues on and turns like this. We want to get that tweeter far up to this area here and all behind the grill. Remove that shape, and that will put the tweeter up high and in place. Grab an Audio Frog logo. Conveniently enough, it is already a PNG, which is what we're looking for. We're gonna export this out, drop it into the Glowforge, and see what she looks like. Here's our new piece. Tweeter fits into place. We will be making a strap across the back to lock it in. There's a thread here so we can make a mount for it. That way every time he opens and closes the doors it doesn't move. I'm gonna head over and see if this fits where we want it now. Door panel's back on. Tweeter is up nice and high now. That is going to make sure we get the optimum sound out of here. The next step is to cut the finished product and then make sure that the one for the passenger door is a mirrored image of this one. This one will not fit on that side. Never a dull moment. Let's head back to the laptop. I have my 2 mirrored image pieces here and I have 2 spacers. It's like print. This cut is going to take 20 minutes. Look at that. It still has the paper on it. This is what we're looking at so far. Looking at it a little bit more, as I was talking about, there's a screw hole in the back here. What I might do is cut another one of these out of 1/4 inch and one out of 8 and mount it onto the back. I don't know, I'm still thinking about how I want to do that. Start with that same ring that we were using before, and we'll copy the outside version of it. This will give us our back shape. We need a small hole in the center. That'll be where our screw will go in. And then we need the area where the factory screws go in. If we leave it like this, it will cut this shape out. And with that run on the laser done, that brings all our pieces together. That's the front piece with the Audio Frog logo on it. Next we need a piece of 1/4 inch trim ring. Slide the speaker through. Put it through there. Grab an 1/8 inch. Drop that in place. Grab another 1/4. Drop that in place. The 1/8 inch back piece. And a screw. Tighten it up. And there she is. There's our tweeter mount. Our wires will come out of here. This will go into the door, be right where we want it in the hole. Just like we did on the door, we want to best gauge where that speaker needs to go, so we've taken the grill off of that. This is the same piece we used to test the front, and that seems to be in the center. So when making our hole, we want to go from the center out. That will put that mid-range right below the opening in the grill. We also want to make this one out of 1/8 inch and not 1/4 inch to keep it down. We'll put foam around it to feed it up, but the movement, we don't want it to hit anything in here because it is really tight. So we're just gonna copy one over and change our opening size. fits just the way we want. That mid-range is in the optimum place to put as much sound as possible through the dash. That means we can do the proof cut now out of 1/8 inch. This one is only going to take 1 minute and 38 seconds. The reason why this is a lot faster is there are no logos. There's no room for logos on these. Press the go button. There's something very satisfying about hitting that button and watching that thing spin across and start doing its lasery things. It's pretty cool. For the dash speaker, we want to just mark our holes, then we can drill them. With the holes in place, we'll add the foam to the back of the driver, screw it into place. When screwing in a speaker like this, I like to put my thumb over the surround, protect it. I'm not worried about my thumb so much. There we go, we have a mounted speaker. Now the last thing we want to do to both of these is put some foam around them to help them marriage up with the grills that they're going to be sitting under. That will help this one, because remember, this one's really close. For the tweeter, we are going to remove the grill. And then the tweeter now has that'll help it come up into that door panel. This will push all that tweeter sound into the car. Now I just need to build the other two and hand them over to Fernando so that he can get them into the vehicle.